Hey guys, Ramen here. I wanted to read a couple of stories to you and tell me what you think about them. The first story I heard, actually, I heard it on the Randy Rose show. It was about uh, a homeless person, jobless person. His name is James Richard Verone, and he robbed a bank. Now, the fact that he robbed a bank wasn't the story. The fact that he robbed the bank of $1, and then, actually, I don't know if he even did, but I know that he, at least according to the story, he gave the clerk uh, a note demanding $1 medical attention, and then he waited for the police, and the police arrested him, and now he's gonna get the attention he needs. At least I believe he is. It says, according to the story, it says, it says he has an appointment with a doctor this week. Ron's problem started with he lost the job he held for 17 years as a Coca-Cola delivery man, and amid the economic downturn, he found New York. He found New York driving a. Sorry, just words are very similar, but he found New York driving a truck, but it didn't last. Eventually, he took a part-time position. Um, it says took part-time position in a convenience store. Brown wasn't up to it. The bending and lifting made his back ache. He had problems with his left foot, making him limp. And he also suffered from carpal tunnel syndrome and arthritis. Then he noticed a protrusion on his chest. The pain was beyond tolerance that I could accept, Verone told the Gasoline Gazette. I kind of hit a brick wall with everything. Further on, Verone knew he needed help, but didn't want to be burdened on his sister and brother. He applied for food stamps, but they weren't enough either. So he has to plan. On June 9th, he woke up, showered, ironed his shirt. He mailed a letter to the Gazette listing the return address as the Gaston County Jail. When you receive this, a bank robbery will have been committed by me. Brown wrote in the letter. This robbery is being committed by me for $1. I am of sound mind, but not so much sound body. Then Baron hailed a cab to the RBC Bank. Inside, he handed a teller. At the bank, he handed a teller his $1 robbery demand. I didn't have any fears, said Baron. I told the teller that I would sit over here and wait for the police. The teller was so frightened that she had to be taken to the hospital to be checked out. Baron, meanwhile, was taken to jail, just as he planned. Because he only asked for $1, Baron was charged with larceny, not bank robbery. But he said that his punishment isn't severe enough. He plans to tell the judge that he'll do it again. His $100,000 bond has been reduced to $2,000, but he says he doesn't plan to pay it. In jail, Braun says he skips dinner to avoid too much contact with other inmates. He's already seen some nurses and is scheduled to see a doctor on Friday. He said he's hoping to receive back and foot surgery and get the protrusion on his chest treated. Then he plans to spend a few years in jail for getting out in time to collect Social Security and move to the beach. Barone also presented the view that if the United States had a health care system which offered people more government support, he wouldn't have to make a choice he did. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything, Barone said. The Affordable Care Act, presented along with healthcare overhaul passed by Congress last year, was designed to make it easier for American situations like Barone to get health insurance. But most of its provisions don't go into effect until 2014. As it is, Barone said he thinks he chose the best of a bunch of bad options. I picked jail. Now, here's the thing. Um, when you have to pick, when you're in such a bad condition, excuse me, when you're in such a bad condition and in such a bad situation as this guy, that you have to pick jail, something wrong in this country. And I'm not just saying that just because, oh, just because, things aren't really that bad, or you're just liberal or whatever. No. Bottom line is, when people have to make that choice to go to jail, there's something wrong with the system. You know that there's something wrong with our health care. I mean, for crying out loud, how many people do you know in Canada? And I know Republicans love to criticize Canada. Oh my God, you have to wait, 2 months to see a doctor or whatever, for the simplest of things. When is it, where else have you heard that people have to go to jail to get health care? I mean, you almost have to be like a terrorist or a criminal to get any kind of help in this country. And it doesn't say anything about us and the way we treat the lesser among us. Then I don't know what does. I mean, for crying out loud, when is it gonna stop? Are we gonna be, are we gonna be just, and I know that in the past, like about, back 20, 30 years ago, we saw countries like South Africa, or we saw, other countries in Europe as third world countries. That's what we're becoming. We're not just crawling into third world countrydom, or I don't even think that's an appropriate word. If we're not sliding into third world country status, no, let me correct my words. We're not just, crawling into third world status. We're sliding into third world status. We're gonna end up as a country where minimum wage is a standard. Only criminals are gonna get the health care they need, and terrorists. People, like how they used to say, the bread line in Russia, people have to wait to get a loaf of bread, and it wasn't such a good loaf of bread. It was like a loaf of bread that you can hit somebody over and knock them out with. That's what we're heading into, and frankly, I'm afraid. I'm afraid for what this country is becoming. But aside from that, it's another story I wanted to talk about real quick, and let's see where I'm already 9 minutes into this, so I'll make it quick. Um, Justice Clarence Thomas, it wasn't just enough that he had all the scandal before with Anita Hill and then his wife calling Anita Hill, over the phone to, I don't know, make some kind of threat or something. And it wasn't enough that came out, but now, now you have um, um, this guy doing favors for for people, for people like Howlin' Crow, in exchange for favors back. A Supreme Court justice. You know how it's always argued that when you can't get justice on the local level, you go up higher, and then ultimately the ultimate decider is the Supreme Court. But what if you know what if your grief is with a subsidiary for the Coke industry, or from another big huge corporate company that does favors for and then you know and then what if you have a Supreme Court justice you know getting favors and doing favors for such a do you think you're gonna see justice? Do you really think you're gonna see justice from these people? You're not. You know, you're not. It's like it's like something that I was reading about the other day. Overall, just not just the poor man, having to rob to get medical help. Not just Clarence Thomas, but this whole country. And I'm not the first one to say it. You know, I'm not original in this. A lot of people before me have said it. We're becoming Rome. We're becoming Rome. And you know what happened to Rome? They fell. And that's what's going to happen to this country. It's going to fall. It's going to fall and fall hard. How could I say this? Look around you. Politicians are fat and corrupt. Now I'm not talking about physical. Oh, some of them are, but politicians are fat and corrupt. Fat with corporate money. The supposed Supreme Court justices are, at least Thomas. And I'm positive there has to be at least another Supreme Court justice that's corrupt. But can't prove it. But not just Clarence Thomas, but not just Supreme Court justices, not just the politicians. Our media is corrupt. Most, except for a few independent minds out there, most are corrupt. It's all about the almighty dollar, isn't it? Might not happen in 5 years, might not happen in 10 years. Hell, it might not happen within my lifetime or your lifetime. But the United States is going to fall. If it keeps going the same, the only way it will not fall is if there's a radical change. And when I'm talking about radical change is A, throw all lobbyists and corporate interests out. B, just what the silly rule that corporations are people. They're not. C, start electing politicians from the people, not from the Millionaires Club. And D, take the religious wackos, the religious racist, homophobe wackos out of the picture. And I'm talking about the Tea Party. Yes, I'm talking about the Tea Party. Unless you do that,